the fact that we chose to do these parts, there's genius in us for even saying yes. You said your capacity. We said yes to the hardest thing ever. Like, this is not easy. This is not a joke.
Hi, I'm Stacey from the British Blacklist. And firstly, I just want to give you both your flowers. Absolutely incredible performance. I just want to say thank you before I start off this interview.
Thank
Um,
you.
Thank you,
you're
Stacey.
welcome. So, it touches on the personal struggle and sacrifice that both MLK and Malcolm X had to go through. What do you think? What do you think this program? How do you think it offers a fresh perspective of the lives of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X?
Um, that's a really great question. I think for me personally, subjectively, what it does is it allows us an opportunity to address what I might describe as, misinformation out there regarding them. I think they are often pitted against one another. I think they are often depicted as opposing forces, as opposed to both tremendous forces in their own right that were running parallel and just had different routes towards the same objective. Um, and I think that's a beautiful thing. I think we see them as two sides of the same coin, as opposed to uh, uh, any conflict. You know what I mean? There is union, there is unity, there is connectivity that is present throughout the duration and the entirety of this series and this depiction of these tremendous individuals. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, beautifully said. What about you, Kelvin?
I think I just like to see them as like dudes. You know what I mean? Like, that's the cool
Right,
thing about the show. Is like, I'm
right.
like, they're kind of just like navigating being a dad and like trying to figure out like, all right, I love this girl and like she's awesome and I want to connect with her and I want to build something with her and I got a lot of jokes and I like to eat and also like I want to kind of save my people. You know what I mean? So it's cool to kind of the fact that I can even speak like this about them in this capacity in this show says a
Mm,
lot. And I know it sounds like it's all fun and games that I'm kind of being silly, but at the same time, they genuinely were just men like
mm,
we are.
mm.
But they had this calling and they answered the call and they rose to the occasion every single opportunity they got. And that's what made them remarkable. It's how they answered it, you know?
Definitely, because like they were freedom fighters, but they were brothers, husbands,
Mhm,
fathers,
mhm.
etc. Like,
Sons.
yeah, sons, everyday people that had a passion to like change the world. Um, essentially, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so, Kelvin, for you, you've previously played influential cultural figures such as BB King as well. Now, with Martin Luther King, was this always in your career plan, in your career trajectory to like bring these iconic Black figures to life on screen?
Not at all. Honestly, it's been one of the like hardest things I've ever done, and the thing that keeps me up at night. I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, who do I think I am? So it's been tough to process. Kind of growing up with these men in a lot of ways. I'm not 30 yet, but it's been a lot of my 20s. It's been the second half of my 20s. And I think it started with Fred Hampton. I got his autobiography and I was his biography and I was really just like so moved by how young he was and
Mm.
what he was able to
Mm,
accomplish at that age.
mm,
And I wrote in a journal, I was like, one day I will be able to play Fred Hampton and this will be the journal I prepped the character for. And then I got this job with on Charlie Chicago 7. And it's a small part, but it was the
wow.
beginning of it, yeah. And then, BB King happened after that, and Chevalier, and so on and so forth. And now Dr. King. And trust me, every single time I've kind of tried to run away from it again, but it's informed so much of who I am as a man. And most people will never get the opportunity. That's why I look at it as such a blessing to put on these clothes and get the time to research and paid to research these men. And then these
Mm.
sets are built and these circumstances are built where I get to kind of interact and almost what would you call that? Not cosplay, but like like
Yeah.
I don't
It's a
know. It's
portrayal.
a portrayal, and it's been such a gift. It's building my character, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So was this an easy yes, or did you have some reservations when approached?
I literally took most of my Zoom call with the executive producers trying to convince them that I was not the guy.
Really?
I was like, guys, I promise you there's somebody else. I promise you, I guarantee you. And they were like, nah, G, it's you.
Yeah.
Stop running away from it. That resistance is what's gonna take you out. You gotta embrace it, you know? But
And so,
well,
and sometimes the most beautiful, the scariest things can be the most beautiful things in our life as well. And for you, Aaron, in terms of like as a British actor playing an American figure, there's always the conversation around British actors playing American roles. What was that like stepping into the shoes of Malcolm X? And did that have any impact on you prior to taking on this role?
That's a really important question, and I think as with anything, I can only really speak from my personal experience. And I was how I was raised by my parents and my family and my community was with the perspective that with the diaspora perspective.
mm,
So for me personally, um, I've always been aware of, uh, you know, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. I've always been aware of these, tremendous individuals and the impact they had on the world. And for me, I having that diaspora perspective, whether it's somebody who is in the UK, whether it is somebody who is in the US, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, the continent, the Caribbean, anyone that is going through struggle that looks the way I do, anyone that is going through a traumatic experience that looks the way I do, challenge that looks the way I do, I feel that deeply, no matter where in the world they are. And likewise, anyone that is going through a moment of success, I celebrate that and I champion that no matter where they are. So for me, this was just a real blessing, a real privilege to have the opportunity to portray a hero of mine, a hero of many. And I'm deeply grateful for it.
Yeah, and you both portrayed it beautifully, honestly. And then just my last question. My editor wants to know, off of the theme of this, what do you think it takes to be a genius? Or to be considered a genius?
I mean, I'm not a genius, so
yes, you are,
I
dog.
don't.
Yes, you.
Believe in yourself.
I wouldn't know, but I mean, if I had to estimate, I would say it takes a tremendous amount of courage to believe in your capacity to achieve. And it's admirable, you know.
Yeah, I think you're
I
right.
would say this: the fact that what you just said is true. The fact that we chose to do these parts, there's genius in us for even saying yes. You said your capacity. We said yes to the hardest thing ever. Like this is not easy. This is not a joke. We said yes to Malcolm X and Martin Luther
It's
King.
not a joke.
We are under 30. That's hard.
Yes. I think that in itself is genius, right? To
That's a
play
genius
characters that
move.
are
Genius move.
that everyone has an opinion on as well already.
Yes. To take the time to understand and learn and make yourself vulnerable and open to this experience, to receive these men into our mind and spirit and body and soul to some extent. It's that listen, it's the choices we make that make us genius, I think.
Mhm.
Oh, beautifully said. I love that. Beautiful. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.
You as
Thank
well.
you. Take care.